TVA condemned about 89 acres on the north side of New Henderson Road. That area would be prime property for a school and a recreational facility. Again, it's getting TVA's commitment. I actually went to East Tennessee State University. I'm well acquainted with Dr. Nolan there. Brian Nolan is also on the board of directors for TVA. I would plan on reaching out to Dr. Nolan and also Beth Harwell, who is a director who I'm acquainted with. But it's getting TVA. So far, I don't think they have revealed any definitive plans on what they want to do. The ball is really in their court, but I do agree with you that Anderson County needs to have a say-so in that. So that's kind of what my vision is. Thank you.
In Alabama, they've taken a very similar facility, and ours is even a step a little bit better than the Alabama facility, but they've turned it into, I believe it's a Google facility. And about 1,000 to 1,200 people work there. Anderson County they already have the water cooling mechanisms that tech companies like that need to operate. It would be, just in my opinion, it would be a great thing if you could put 1,000 people to work down there in some kind of Amazon plan or Google or whatever the case might be. But there's a lot of opportunity. Claxton's building a new school. And if you guys are elected, you will work to fund a school budget. And I can't remember a time ever at any municipality that schools haven't needed more money. And there's a debate on whether it's a need or whether it's a want, but especially when you're building new schools, we're lucky that some of the money that they're going to use came from the COVID Act and the money that was spread out to the counties and the cities. So I think about $5 million is going to pour to that. But again, this is going to be, I want to pose this to all of you because the commissioners are here. Would you agree to raise taxes to build a new school? It's a simple yes or no. No? No? Okay. Anybody else want to come? Can I drag
Who's
a yes or no?
talking?
I'm not going to put anybody on the spot.
Who's talking? Bring them up front.
Yeah, well, stand up and I will.
Jeez.
Because only one person responded.
Okay.
Well,
Well, they can come up here if they want to.
what district? Who is it?
That just said yes?
I'll be happy to respond.
Yes.
I'm not
Let's see,
a
It was
Denise
Casey
can come up.
Miller.
Denise can come up, and there are some current commissioners. I don't know if you want to answer this question or not, or if anybody who is running in a different district that's not on this primary, if you want to answer, that's fine too. Come on up here.
And you don't have to just be yes or no if you have a reason to expound about your answer.
Okay, first of all, this will be an Anderson County and not a District 1
Yes.
Proposition. My first question is, has the county done their due diligence in capital improvements planning? I'm of the opinion that the county should have a 5-year capital improvements plan and a budget that goes along with that. I don't know that they have. We can't really go year to year and say, hey, we need this. We have got to plan for that. We've got to budget for that. Now, as far as a tax increase, that would be the last thing that I would recommend. I think there are other opportunities to increase the tax base. And again, increasing the housing, the people living in Anderson County is going to broaden the tax base without raising property taxes on you. Also, commercial development is going to follow the rooftops, and that's going to increase sales tax revenues. So raising taxes to fund a school, no, I would say I'm definitely against that. But I am also for capital improvements planning on a 5-year plan and a budget that goes along with all community facilities.
Sure, I don't know if I can say it any better than Harold here, but I also believe that you shouldn't just willy-nilly throw out tax increases for things. You have a big budget that you plan for, that you allocate money to. You should be able to go back and see historically what you've spent that money on. And if you didn't need the allocated amount of funds the previous year, well, maybe we can move that into another line item and see how that would affect things moving forward. I am also, like Harold said, very interested in bringing in capital producing business and industry, but we have to be proactive. We can't just say, hey, we're bringing these people in here with the roads we currently have and things of that nature. So capital improvement is a big deal. We need to start looking not just 5 years, but maybe 10, 15 years into the future, or 30 years into the future, and figuring out what we can do and how to do things efficiently, because we need to lead by revenue, and we need to be conservative if that's what we are. So.
All right, so, and I agree with both of these gentlemen, and I would just say with growth comes all sorts of issues and problems. And I'm going to try to be a commissioner that just doesn't say I'm going to do this or just speak because I want to be speaking. I want to be one that researches all avenues. I want to be able to know both sides of the issue. I want to be able to speak to the constituents, to the people, and know what the people want. And then I want to be able to bring that to a decision-making process, running that through, a conservative filter, a prayerful filter. And I am all for growth, and I'm all for wise spending, but I'm also for, doing what our people want and protecting the values that Anderson County people hold very dear. So yes, I am not for raising taxes at all. And I don't do in my home, when I want something new, I have to be thrifty and efficient, and I think I want to spend your money the way I spend my money. And so I think that we're going to have to take a hard look at some of these issues and maybe be even kind of, like I said, thrifty, or do some things, think outside of the box, and maybe some fresh eyes. And I'm a newcomer, so maybe some fresh eyes and some fresh ideas might be what the commission needs.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. I'll just I don't have any specific questions.
I've got
That
one.
is just okay.
My first question is, why do we need a new school? There ought to be some facts that justify building a new school. Building a new school just to have a new school, I'm not in favor of.
I had, Dr. Parrott was on the radio with me here a while back, and the reason he was on there is because there was a little uproar because they had closed the football field in order to start construction on that school, and they couldn't have Optimus League ball and a lot of other things. So he was on explaining what they were going to do. There is evidently a need, according to Dr. Parrott, and the school needs updating. I can't remember how old he said it was, but what he said to me, I'm just repeating it, is that there were a number of places in the school that they needed to update. They're going to build on, they were going to either try to build onto it or build a whole new school, and building a new school seemed to be the better of the two. And they had the extra money from the COVID to do it. Also, too, good news. Good news for y'all running. One thing that I'm very, very interested in, always have been, is retail. And when they pass laws for internet to be taxed, I assumed we were going to make some money, and we did, with a lot of money. Our taxes we've put more in our coffers every year since that. Even through COVID, we've went up. A lot of people were shopping at home, I guess, so that internet tax did well. We increased 4%, and we've got, I don't know how many $1 million that we've got in a rainy day fund. I guess my question is going to be this. Do you keep an excess of cash in a rainy day fund as a government, or do you refund it back to the people? Or do you just spend it because you have it? Kind of what we were inferencing about the schools. Do you spend it because you have it? Do you give it back to the people? Or do you keep it for a rainy day? If you have an overage of what you may or may not, but you may need. And any of you commissioners that want to can address it from up here if you want to. Or... Yeah. Okay. I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's do this. I'll ask a few questions, and I'll let you guys come up here, and then at closing, you can address all of that. Is that all right? That's good. We'll do that. And That way everybody can speak.
Do you have other questions?
No, not necessarily. Nothing.
Judges?
I will say, for the judges, no, not necessarily for the judges. I mean, I wasn't prepared specifically to ask the judges questions. If they both would have been here, we might have had a more, a better opportunity to do so. But I don't want to talk to one without talking to the other, so anyway. I'll tell you this, I appreciate all you guys. After 32 years, I've been a staunch Republican. I've helped get a lot of people elected. A lot of people locally, a lot of people statewide, even worked some national campaigns. I worked with Congressman Wamp, I worked with his son. I've done a lot. I'll tell you this, when you have the opportunity to get on the radio, when you have the opportunity to address and speak to the people you're asking for their vote, you gotta do it. You ought to get out anytime you can, because those are the folks that you're working for, and those are the folks that need your attention. Those are the folks that need to be educated as to what you're going to do. And yard signs don't always do it. They want to hear from you. And in my opinion, of course, on radio stations, that's the quickest way to do it. They can ask a question live on air, you can answer it, or they can send a question, I can answer it, and they can answer it. So, well, as Myra said, I've extended for 2 weeks. I've extended the invitation to anybody that wants to come and sit down and take time on the radio station and explain who you are, tell what you want to do, and then if I can come up with a question, I'll ask you. And anybody that knows me in this room knows I don't play gotcha and I don't play sides. Even if we have a Republican and a Democrat, they all know I'm a Republican, but I'm very fair. So if you get the opportunity and you would like to, come and visit with me and tell your counterparts that are running that they're welcome as well. I want you to address the question that I had, everybody that's here, and then at that, just those of you that are running contested, you can, in closing, tell what you want people to know. Or if Myra has any questions, or anybody else has any questions that she deems appropriate to ask, that'd be fine. So, do you want to start? We'll go ahead and start with that in case.
I'll start again.
Okay.
Harold Edwards, candidate for District 1 Commissioner. There is an old adage, when in the feast, prepare for the famine. When in the famine, prepare for the feast. I would lean toward maintaining a rainy day fund. I personally have an emergency fund at home. You never know when opportunity is going to knock on that door, and I would certainly rather be prepared to accept that opportunity and embrace it, as opposed to have to reach out and try to raise money. So I would be in favor of keeping a rainy day fund. And another reason for keeping a rainy day fund, we have an opportunity to obtain grants often. Grants generally aren't 100% funded. We have, you'll have anywhere from a 15 to 25% local obligation. I would hate to miss out on opportunities to improve the infrastructure, improve the community facilities, the way of life in Anderson County, because we did not have sufficient funds in rainy day to match that grant. So that's my opinion.
I have you up here real quick. One other question I made a note to ask for. I would like all y'all's opinion on the charter that we're working on right now, and how that, where do you think we should operate by a charter? We're gonna operate by one, but what it's gonna be.
Well, you know, the people have spoken, and that's my position on the charter. The people have spoken. They have asked for a charter form of government. So we will have a charter form of government. It's pretty simple.
Wait a minute,
It's still gotta pass.
that's not true.
Yeah.
It's got
The
to
charter
yes.
has to pass,
You're right.
and if it doesn't pass, we could continue with what we have.
You're exactly
If
right.
it passes and there's things in it that we don't like, then as a charter government, we can work to change the charter.
Right. Thank you for clarification.
As a new candidate for commission, I'm not as, I don't know the specifics as well as Mr. Edwards here. However, I will say, I do know that there is a charter. It was voted on, or it's being created. I do know that it is way behind schedule to be presented to people. That being said, about the rainy day fund, rainy day funds are great. If you listen to Dave Ramsey, he's always talking about having, 6 months of expenses. I think that's great. I think if we, as a county, could, put parameters around that fund instead of just building it up forever and ever, we could have at least a year and a half, 2 years of expenses in that budget, if that's even possible, but have some kind of parameters around that so that we can be actively looking for opportunities instead of just waiting for an opportunity to arise. I like to be proactive rather than reactive, so.
And I am new also, and you're gonna have to give me just a minute to catch up with some of these gentlemen. But here's what I do know. I'm a hard worker, and I will research. I will know both sides of the issue. I will poll the people. I will know what the people want, and I will do that. I will govern by conservative principles. I believe that we need a rainy day fund. If there's one thing that COVID has taught us is that we don't know what's going to happen next, and the unexpected will happen. And so we need to have be proactive, as you said, and be prepared for that. And so I agree with that. As far as the charter, it looks like it is past due. It looks like the majority of people want it. It's going to come before us. I really don't know what else to say about that, because I want to get more details. I want to know more about that before I am held accountable for what I say here tonight. So, but yes, I want to work hard. I want to be there and be a conservative voice for you guys, or for District 2. So anyways, thank you for the opportunity.
I can see it. With my glasses, I can see it.
It is. I think it's Thursday.
Let's see here. All right. We watched 2 counties in Virginia take drastically different approaches to growth. One county remained a desirable place to live. The other quickly overpopulated. What's your strategy to regulate and balance Anderson County's rapid growth and required infrastructure, water, sewer, schools, law enforcement, EMS, etc.? We're going to have 415 new roofs this year. Is that correct, or is yeah?
Already.
477, I think, is the number I had that Star approved.
Do you want to start with that question about the growth?
Yes, I am for growth. I am for planned growth. I do think that we have a very qualified planning commission in Anderson County, and actually I serve on the planning commission, have for the last 6 years. So, but the planning commission is very diligent right now in dealing with growth, planned growth. I had the opportunity many years ago to be city planner in Gatlinburg. The thing that I learned up in Gatlinburg, and one thing that I proposed, is we've got to put a lot of the onus as far as the cost of infrastructure on the developers. If we need streets widened or turn lanes, utilities extended, the developers must bear that cost and figure that cost in. So I'm also aware of the potential of traffic generation, actually 2.3 trips generated per day per rooftop, per household. We can do that simple calculation and figure out the load that is going to be increased on streets. So we need to, again, have proper planning and approve developments in accordance with the infrastructure that's able to handle it.
I feel like I'm going to be repeating myself. Proactive versus reactive. I mean, it is down to a science. You heard the numbers. You can calculate the amount of people on the roads by how many people are in a house, etc. You got to think outside of the box as well. Like, what population is that going to be? Is it going to be all single-family households? Is it going to be young people? Like, who are the workers that we're recruiting into this area to fill these new potential industrial jobs? Are they single people? Do they have 2 kids? So is the retiring population going to move to Florida? So you got to think about all these things. I really believe that planned growth is the best way to go, and being proactive rather than reactive as well, because if you don't think about these issues, you're going to end up with traffic messes and neighborhoods without sidewalks and things that you could have had for cheaper when you're building it 10 years later. So.
And again, proactive, I agree with all of that. But what about the people that have lived here their entire life? What about people that are coming in from other states? What about their value system versus our value system? What about the traffic and the congestion and all of that all of this is gonna bring? I mean, with growth, there just comes unique challenges, things that we are going to have to address. And I don't have all of the details tonight. I don't think anyone can say that they have all the details, because there's always something that comes at you from left field. And so I think that we have to just be committed to looking at the issues on both sides, and we have to do what's best for Anderson County and for the people of Anderson County. And we need to be, we don't need to just be building something to build it. Do we really want to be on top of each other? I mean, there's just a lot of things to consider. And so I really want to approach these things from a responsible and a wise aspect, and look at these things objectively, and not, we all want to prosper from this. All people in Anderson County want to prosper from this, not just a few developers or a few people that are in it just to make a dollar. And I don't think we should be profiteering off of everyone else's misfortune. Everything's going up. Gas is going up, groceries going up, everything's going up. And some of these things may require an increase in taxes. And I just don't see doing that to the people of Anderson County. So I am for responsible growth and for responsible, progress. But I want us to, I guess I'm more cautious. I don't know, but I just think we need to take a minute to look at these things and not just jump on the bandwagon. Someone said in a meeting not too long ago that we don't want Turkey Creek here in South Clinton, particularly talking about South Clinton, and I tend to agree with that. I don't live in Turkey Creek, and I don't want Turkey Creek coming here, and it's the same thing. I don't live in California, I don't want California coming here. So I think we need to be wise about this and really want to do that. So I just need a little time to catch up on some of these details. I get the gist of it, but a little time to catch up on the details. And that's, I don't know what to say. Thank you.
I met with Roger Houck here a couple months, probably 6 months ago, and they were already trying to plan for the infrastructure going up through the interstate up toward 75 because of the housing that's currently being built there behind the Walgreens, and then Joe's plan to put, I think, 200 and some odd new houses. And you throw that right there into that school traffic, if you've ever been up through there in the afternoon, it backs up terribly. So looking ahead planning is absolutely going to be something that our county and the cities within it are going to have to do. I'm going to read this question as it is, and I want to say something real quick, and you guys can correct me. It says, county experienced a substantial increase in property tax with the last assessment. What is your strategy to limit the effect of this temporary spike in property values that has occurred over the last 2 years in our net assessment? We have experienced it. Property values have gone up, but the county hasn't received more tax dollars. We have to balance that. We're not allowed to take in any more money when they raise our taxes. And they say, I was just listening to somebody today about Knox County. I have a building in Knox County that went up 300% in value. I got the letter 2 days ago and I almost fell over. But the guy says, yeah, but somebody else is lower to equal that. I'm like, really? Yeah. But that's what we're told, and I think that's the law and the truth. If it goes up 10% on you, somebody else has went down 10% to equal that out. So the money that we gain, we don't. But is there something, if I understand the question, is there something we can do to address property values? My understanding is it's always based on comps, and right now if you try to buy a house or know somebody selling a house, it's crazy. So the comps are through the roof. So did I understand the question? Just try to limit the spike?
It was submitted by someone else, so I don't know if they want
Sure.
to clarify.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, property taxes, you know, the thing about it is, I can sell my house for a nice profit today, but where am I gonna go and what am I gonna do? I'm gonna stay where I am, and, but I think the key is broadening the tax base. And I think, again, going back to the planned growth, increasing the number of housing, increasing commercial development will broaden the tax base and smooth everything out. Nobody wants to pay more taxes, and I certainly don't either. But again, my whole position is planned growth and development and broaden the tax base to level things out for everyone.
Not being personally in office to have the conversations that current commissioners have, I can only imagine what I would be able to do. One of those things is I would educate myself as a homeowner on if you do get an increase in your taxes, figure out what recourse you have. Are you able to go to your tax assessor and request them to relook at what they've done? Like maybe they don't have a full view of your property, things of that nature. Those are things that you could do immediately. Things like recruiting in commercial development and, business and things of that nature, that's gonna take time, so that's not gonna affect you right now. I guess the only way to stop the increase is to not sell your house. A lot of real estate agents will hate for me to say that, people trying to move here. But if you're in your house, it's good, but it is just the market right now. You have inflation, which costs more for materials, which costs more for gas, all of that. So it's just a natural progression of things. Property taxes or assessments are rising.
I agree with broadening the base there, and not one commissioner is an expert in all areas. And so, we're gonna have to work with people who know the answers to these questions, that have experience in this, and I want to be a commissioner like that works with people who know more than I do in certain areas, and then be able to make a wise decision. I don't think that we need to just listen to one or two voices, but we need to look at the whole, and so I'm very concerned about that. One of the things I'm concerned about also is our young families. Sure, like you said, I could sell my home and make a great profit, but where would I go? But then where do our young families go also that's made Tennessee wages for 10 years and want to get a better home or better themselves? What do they do? So I think there's a lot of things to consider here as far as employment and wages for our young families, for all of us. And I don't know, I think we're going to have, these are unique challenges, and we're going to have to work with some of the ones that have more knowledge on this. And I agree with broadening the tax base. That's the one thing that I thought might be a good idea.
I know I sat down with John Allen a couple of years ago and they raised the hours and petitioned him to lower it. It didn't work. But
At least you did it.
I tried. Right. For the commissioners, that's all the questions that I have. If you guys, I would like to give Gary and Brian opportunity, and then Judge Layton opportunity just for any closing.
I think there was a question.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't think, are we supposed to take questions, Myra?
If people will be respectful.
Okay. What is the question in the back? Who had it?
Is this all the people running for commission that showed up?
Yes, that's all they showed.
And the rest of them, as far as I'm concerned, don't care enough about my vote to show up.
I see that there was a lot,
She wanted to know if they've actually looked at the budget to see where there's big
When
spending.
you said you've studied and you researched and you're running for commission, I think it's important that you already know what you're stepping into. I guess.
Sure, that's a great question.
What was the question?
The question was if any of the people that are currently running for commission have looked at and studied the county budget to know what you could cut and things of that nature. I will say, yes, from a 10,000 foot view, I have not been able to be in the budgetary meetings and things of that nature. However, ACTV on YouTube is awesome for people who don't know. You can go back and watch budget meetings, operations meetings and county commission meetings, even the charter commission meetings if you want to go on there and do that. So yes, my eyes have been on the budget at a 10,000 foot view. I know that I was interested to see there was a whole lot of money in lawsuits and things over the past couple of years that hopefully we can figure that out. So maybe that could be a place where we could figure that out. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, well, particularly with the schools, we've talked about the schools and then, their budget's fine.
We don't.
I just wondered if you know anything about it.
Not right now, but hopefully soon.
I really don't, I can't address the schools, but I don't know. I do know that the teachers are probably underpaid for the job that they do. I think all teachers are, but I have not looked in detail at the budget.
The same as, I know that the school is a big part of it, and maybe some other departments are really big as well. And I think that, we have people that submit that budget, and this is their need, and I'm not really sure that I, as a commissioner, can go in and start cutting their budget.
Not the school, but the counties,
Okay. And so, I really can't answer that, because I know that they're spending, and I think that we're heavy, maybe a little top heavy, and I'm sure there's places in my own budget that I can cut, that I can do things more effectively and more efficiently. And we may have to be a little bit more thrifty. So I think that that's something that we need to look at. We need to look at everything, and, I don't have a thorough working knowledge of the budget either. I'm a newcomer. Kind of know what I'm getting into, like I said, I know the overall, but the specifics, I can't really speak on that. But I do, when I look at things, I'm gonna be looking at it with conservative eyes and really expecting, it to be efficient and get rid of the things that aren't working and implement things that are working.
I only asked that because I talked about raising the taxes, we're already one of the highest tax rates in the state.
And I do not want to raise the taxes, and I think we should do everything possible to not raise the taxes. And if that means that we have to look at some of these budgets and make some hard decisions, then I'm for doing that.
I will tell you, and some of you commissioners can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we've spent about $5 million of y'all's money, not we, they, on lawsuits that we lost, that our law director chose to go ahead and fight over because he said we'd win. So we've spent at least, is it 5 or is it 7? Do you know? $5 million. So that's a great area that we could maybe make some progress in and stop fighting and settle these things.
That's another question.
And also too, for the commissioners, I think everybody probably knows this, commission approves the budget, but once they give the money to the school board, they can light it on fire and there's nothing else that the board or the commission can do. Once that money is given to them, and once they give it to them, they have to continue to give it